Okay, so hold on. Well, not even a month into 2026 and one of Trump's closest allies and assets is jumping ship.
Okay, Katie, one thing that we should also see, Mark is right, the midterms right now look ugly unless the Republicans really get serious.
As we've reported several times, the Rupert Murdoch-owned Wall Street Journal continues to send warning signs to the Trump administration. And this week, they sent out their strongest message yet. The Wall Street Journal issued a blunt warning to Republicans, saying that Trump's growing chaos is becoming a serious threat to GOP chances in the 2026 midterms. And again, this isn't framed as, oh, Democrats are lying about Trump. It's framed as his behavior is the problem.
He's very happy with it.
Does it still include you? Does it still include the United States having ownership of Greenland like you've said you wanted?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. And I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals and everything else.
How long is it, Mr. President?
Have you already spoken to other European leaders?
Yes, I have.
How long would the deal be, Mr. President?
Infinite.
Will there speak to Denmark?
There is no time limit. It's forever.
And how would you ratify the deal?
It's signed forever.
But you haven't signed anything yet, right?
It's a deal that's forever.
Will there be an effect anyway, Mr. President? Will there be an effect?
What happens is people are out there and they're working it right now. They're working the details of the deal, but it's what's called an infinite deal. It's forever.
You talked about being concerned, Mr. President, about Russia trying to come and take over Greenland. If you're worried that Putin would do something like that, why invite him to join your board of peace?
Because we want everybody. We want all nations. We want all nations where people have control, people have power. That way we're never going to have a problem. This is the greatest board ever assembled. And everybody wants to be on it. But yeah, I have some controversial people on it, but these are people that get the job done. These are people that have tremendous influence. And if I put all babies on the board, there wouldn't be very much. So he was invited. He's accepted. Many people have accepted. I don't know of anybody that hasn't accepted. But it's going to be great. I think the Board of Peace will be the most prestigious board ever, and it's going to get a lot of work done that the United Nations should have done. And we'll work with the United Nations, but the Board of Peace is going to be special. We're going to have peace. It started off with Gaza, the Middle East. We've got peace in the Middle East, tremendous peace in the Middle East. Nobody thought that was possible. And that happened by taking out the Iran nuclear threat. Without that, it could have never happened. But the board is going to be, I think, really fantastic. And I think it'll be the most prestigious board of any board ever in world history.
This is a pretty notable shift considering who we are talking about here, because the Journal isn't built to panic Democrats. It's built to protect the Republican governing brand. So when they start broadcasting fear about 2026, not even a month into the year, it means that the donor class, the strategist class, and institutional wing of the party is feeling the ground move.
All right, Jessica, I'm going to give you the opportunity to praise the president for overseeing the greatest drop in the murder rate of all time?
Well, I'll go like 75% there. Obviously, the trend line started before Donald Trump came into office. Yeah. And it was embarrassing when everyone on the right was tweeting that graph that ended in 2024. And they were like, I think it started with his sons. They were like, yay, dad. And it was actually Biden's work. But I love a drop in a homicide rate. I love less overdoses. I think this is all good things. Good. The rest of it is a disaster, though.
Oh, okay.
The New York Times Santa poll was so bad for him that he's suing the New York Times. Lowest approval rating, -17 immigration, -18 on the economy, -19 on foreign relations, -29 on cost of living. And for those of you that care about the Epstein files, which is a lot of people, -44. The coalition from 2020 is back intact. So young voters, Black voters, Latino voters, back to usual levels of support for the Democratic Party. And J.D. Vance's speechwriter, I think, hates him because he was talking about the economy. And he had this line, you don't turn the Titanic around overnight. But we all know what happened to the Titanic.
Oof.
Oof.
You do.
Sick burn.
And the Journal's warning isn't abstract either. It's not a vague tone complaint. It's literally pointing at concrete Trump-era chaos that is piling up fast and only getting worse. You have the Greenland land grab rhetoric that has shaken alliances and alienated the likes of the United Kingdom after his despicable comments regarding NATO soldiers. Harsh immigration tactics creating immense public backlash across the country, erratic tariff swings that spook markets and voters, and an overall governing style built around provocation, not stability. And the Wall Street Journal's core argument here is basically this: you cannot win midterms on constant crisis. Eventually, chaos stops looking like any sort of strength or dominance, and it starts looking like incompetence.
If we don't get that done, it would be a disgrace.
But you have failed so far, Mr. President. You failed to bring peace to Ukraine.
You're ahead of us with so many events around the country. I think it'd be a reckless decision on their part.
The president mistakenly called Greenland Iceland. His speech is slurred. He's got bruises on his hands. Are you at all worried about the president's health or his decline at all?
Is this a serious question? This president sleeps about 3 hours a night. He outworks everybody in this building by a factor of 2 or 3.
And while Trump and his closest yes men and women want Republicans and voters to believe that, well, yeah, everything is going great, the party is united, the base is energized and strong, one of the most conservative leaning outlets is saying the exact opposite, stating the chaos is actually energizing the opposition, turning independents off and making the GOP's governing case harder to sell. Not to mention that the same Wall Street Journal recently published a bombshell report documenting how ICE agents may be trying to hit arrest quotas, leading to what? More chaos. And Trump couldn't even control the narrative on Fox News.
82% of people saw that video. 53% think that he should be criminally charged for it. And then the Wall Street Journal comes out and they're reporting that there are incentives for ICE agents because they need to meet that insane 3,000 people a day quota, that they're getting rewarded even if they bring in people who then get released. These stories of Americans being detained saying, show me your papers. There was a veteran, U.S. veteran who's on a Carnival cruise, being arrested a U.S. veteran on a Carnival cruise with his wife who was taken out of his cabin, someone who served this country.
What is the percentage? No percentage.
Citizen. Do not act like ICE isn't making, I don't even know how many mistakes a day in pursuit of Stephen Miller's 3,000 a day quota and getting paid for it.
We've all seen the 3-minute video. And I've heard some people say, oh, it's hard to watch. What was hard is that there were 5 to 7 ICE agents there. In my world, my colleagues, we've arrested some dangerous people on the back roads of Cumberland County with 3 or less deputies. Yet, this was a show of force, a show of whatever they were trying to do with 7 people. What's even more disturbing is the comment made by the witness that videotaped this encounter, who said that in the 3 minutes they got out, they pulled a guy from the car, handcuffed him, put him in the car, they all took off, leaving his car with the windows down, the lights on, unsecure, and unoccupied. They left it right on the side of the street. Folks, that's Bush League policing. Again, in my world, you wait for a wrecker. You wait for somebody to come pick it up that the individual wants. Or you get permission to drive the vehicle into a public parking spot and you lock it up and you give the person their car keys. You don't leave their personal belongings unsecure along the streets of the city of Portland. It's not fair to the guy that owns the car. It's surely not fair to the Portland police. And it's what my understanding is going on. I'll end with this. We're being told one story, which is totally different than what's occurring or what occurred last night.
For years, Trump survived scandals and failures because the conservative media ecosystem either defended him, distracted from the story, or redirected blame onto Democrats. But if one of the most notable bigots' own flagship paper is now essentially telling Republicans, yeah, this guy could cost you Congress. That's not the left attacking Donald Trump. Again, that's one of the most vindictive and bigoted members of the right prepping a lifeboat. And to be clear, the midterms is where all this chaos becomes politically dangerous, right? Because midterm elections don't just punish presidents. They punish the entire party.
Yeah, okay. Donald Trump and the Republicans started this redistricting fight, but it looks like that the Democrats are going to finish them off. Because what are we talking about? What's the most likely outcome? Most likely House seat gain from mid-decade redistricting. You mentioned back in the summer of 2025, it started in Texas. It looked like Republicans, the most likely that they were going to get nationwide was 5 seats. But today, at this point, the most likely outcome is Democrats actually gaining from the mid-decade redistricting battle. Now, this isn't about right, and it's an approximation. I wouldn't be surprised if it's tied. I wouldn't be surprised if Democrats actually gain 2 or 3 seats from the mid-decade redistricting battle. But the bottom line is this. It started out as a plus for Republicans, and now it looks like the Democrats have fought back in a major way. It looks like it's going to be a plus for them nationwide.
Which states are you thinking are going to present the more advantage for one party over another?
Yeah, okay. So, right. It's basic mathematics, right? Likely redistricting gains for 2026. California, of course, Gavin Newsom, 5 seats for the Democrats. Utah, court ruling there, 1 seat. And then it basically evens out on the Republican side, right? Maybe a 4-seat gain from Texas. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if that was, in fact, 3, only 3, not the 5 we thought it was going to start out with. Again, taking away seats from the Republicans nationwide.
Districts flip, Senate margins tighten, and every Republican candidate is forced to then get in front of their constituents and answer for the national brand which they have subscribed to, which, as was noted last year, didn't exactly go well for Republicans whenever they went MAGA on the ballot without their fearless cult leader on it too.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.